Hey everyone, Ryan Young, KAATARO Jiu-Jitsu. Hope you're doing well. Those of you who are new to our videos and don't know us, my name is Ryan Young and I work for Dave Kama of KAATARO Jiu-Jitsu. Who's Dave Kama? Dave Kama is Rickson Gracie black belt. One of the dirty dozen, basically one of the very first Rickson Gracie black belts in the US that is not a Brazilian. And in my view, probably one of the best that Rickson's ever created. Certainly one of the more known among the BJJ community, or Gracie Jiu-Jitsu, as we like to say. But anyway, we run 3 academies. We have one in Irvine, California, one in Dallas, Texas, which is Flower Mound actually, and one in Austin, Texas. So come visit us at any of our campuses, and also come check us out at KAATAROJujitsuOnline.com, where we have our curriculum online. And come check it out, free trial, see if you like it. If you like it, stay. Great to have you guys here. So, I don't know how many of you have seen what happened in the last week or so was the Olympic trials for 74 kilograms, U.S. Olympic trials. And it was between 2 rival wrestlers, Kyle Dake and I guess Jordan Burroughs. And Jordan Burroughs has been the man at 74 kilograms for 10, 12 years or so. I think he's out of University of Nebraska and is said to be one of the best wrestlers of all time. I mean, the thing about the U.S., we've got a lot of best wrestlers of all times. I mean, you've got the Schultz brothers, right? David and Mark. You've got John Smith out of Oklahoma State. You've got Cale Sanderson, and you've got Dan Gable. Sorry. Dan Gable, who is of the greatest, probably the greatest. Certainly a pioneer in collegiate wrestling and Olympic wrestling as well. That's, I guess, with freestyle. And then the Greco, we have, what's that guy's name? Sorry, I didn't do my research. This is just off the top of my head. The guy who ended up beating Alexander Karelin, Greco-Roman wrestling, you know, and Karelin was one who I think he won. He was like the world champion like 20 years in a row. And you know, the thing is though, when he got beaten by the American, Karelin was already a champ for 20 years running, and he was an older guy. But this last one that happened between Kyle Dake and Jordan Burroughs, they're only 2 years in age difference. I guess age 30 and age 32. 30 for Kyle Dake and 32 for Jordan Burroughs. And what, I just kind of got into this late. I've always known who Jordan Burroughs is, but I've never heard of Kyle Dake. So I went to look into his story. And here's a guy who went to Cornell, which is, I guess, not considered one of the top colleges for wrestling. Certainly, you know, it's not Penn State or Oklahoma State or Iowa State, right? Or Minnesota, right? So it was Cornell, which is an Ivy League school, and he won the NCAA's 4 years running in 4 different weight classes, which from what I understand, he's the only one to have done that. So he decides after that he wants to make wrestling his career. And, you know, it's funny when you call them pro wrestlers, and it's different from what the traditional thinking of what a pro wrestler is, right? Pro wrestler, you're thinking, you know, The Rock, Steve Austin, you know, those types of pro wrestlers, right? But you actually have people who wrestle professionally for a living. And all they do is they train. You know, they have various tournaments, and then they have the world championships, and then they ultimately want to get to be Olympic gold medalists. So, you know, I kind of looked in the story on Kyle Dake, and, you know, at the very end of it, what happened was Kyle Dake ended up beating Jordan Burroughs 2 out of 3, right? I guess they go into 2 rounds. It's his best out of 3, and he won 2 rounds. I think he went 3-0 in the first round, and in the second round he went, was it 3-2 or something like that? Yeah, 3-2 in the second round, and then that makes him be the Olympic qualifier. And one of the things that I learned about Kyle Dake was that he was always nipping at the heels of Jordan Burroughs. But because Jordan Burroughs was the champ, I guess the way the tournaments are structured is that for Dake to get a match with Burroughs in the final, Burroughs can bypass all the preliminary tournament He doesn't have to go through any of the rounds to get to the final. He already is in the final. So he goes into the final fresh. Whereas whoever the challenger is, in Dake's case, had to go through 2 or 3 prior top-level opponents in the same day before reaching Burroughs that evening. So every time Kyle Dake met Burroughs in the finals at least 3 times, if I recall right. It could be more. But every time he met Burroughs in there, he had had to have gone through a gauntlet of other world level competitors, right? Just like him. And they're all best out of 3, and I don't know how long the rounds are, 3 to 5 minutes or something, but he has to go through all those guys just to get the opportunity to go to Burroughs. So every time he gets up to Burroughs, Burroughs is fresh. So that has to be an advantage. And I think, and that's just the way the system is. It's not he's cheating or anything like that. That's just the way the system is set up. For you to be the champ, you have to beat the champ, of course, but you also have to beat the champ after you've beaten all other comers, right? Whereas the champ can still remain the champ. Now, if we're really trying to find out who the best is based on the wrestling rules, really the best would be they'd put all 4 guys in one of those round robin tournaments where they just go, and whoever has the best record is the champ, who then goes to the trials or goes to the actual Olympics. Or I don't know if they have such a thing for the world championships as well. I think they might also have a type of trial set up for the world championships in addition to the Olympics. So the person who is the champ has a huge advantage. Now, granted, to become the champ, Jordan Burroughs had to do what Kyle Dake did in this last tournament, but was unable to do for about 9 years, 8 or 9 years. So when, I guess, Ben Askren had a show, and he had both, he had interviewed Jordan Burroughs before the championships, or before the trials, and then brought on Kyle Dake on as a surprise. And Kyle Dake was basically telling him, if you're the best, then meet me, or enter the tournament and forego your champion's exemption, which Jordan Burroughs is not going to do that. That's kind of dumb. He wants to continue on to the championship. Now, if you look at how Dake had to beat him, he had to take it from him. So to take it from him, you have to be better than the champ on that day, which he could have been better than the champ on any of those given tournaments. But because he was depleted, he went up against a fresh Burroughs. So if the association, in my view, wants to find the best guy, then have them all go against each other and have them go multiple rounds and then meet in the final, just like they would in a Jiu-Jitsu tournament, for instance, right? The Jiu-Jitsu world champ doesn't get to sit out and wait for all the guys to work through the brackets only to just go into the final and win, right? It doesn't have to do that. But in wrestling, you do have to do that, and that's just the way the system is. Like I said, I contend that you don't truly find the best. You just find whoever is, maybe at a certain energy level, one is better than the other. But you take that energy depleting trial out and you put them both on. Then you could have had Kyle Dake and Jordan Burroughs, for all I know, right? Because let's say he's here, but after the first guy, the second guy, and now he's got the match with Burroughs, and now Burroughs is ahead because of the fact he's got a full gas tank, whereas Dake didn't. But it just goes to show how good Dake is by having gone through what he's gone through in order to win. Now you could say, well, the champ is getting old, and even I think he had even said that in interviews prior to this one. I think he was probably thinking that it's just a matter of time, because he was kind of qualifying stuff, saying, I don't get things as quick as I used to, and the recuperation takes longer than I'm used to, and he's kind of preparing for defeat. In that way, he might have already been defeated, just in his mind. And even you look at some of the prior matches that they had, a lot of wrestling is head control, right? You know, just like Jiu-Jitsu, head control. But one of the things they'll do is they'll stiff arm your head, right? They'll stiff arm your head. But you see how my hand is, right? You know, there was one actually, one in the final match where he had, Burroughs had Dake's head like this and his thumb right into his eyeball. You know, is that intentional? I don't know. But if you forward back a few years ago, there was another match where Burroughs had the same thing, and his thumb was clearly in Dake's eyeball. There is another one where, you know, I guess they can lock hands like this, but you can't play the old mercy on somebody, right? Like, mercy, mercy, right? So, so they had locked hands, and Burroughs was doing this, and he was really trying to crunch his fingers, and you saw, I guess, the ref saying something, and Dake has his hand open like this, like, not me, and he's even moving his hand, like, hey, look at my hand, I'm not doing anything. But I think what happened was he had gotten a call against him. Dake did, based on that. You know, and the thought process was kind of like how, you know, Michael Jordan was, right? You know, Michael Jordan, when they played, it might have been New York, the Knicks, or the Pistons, I'm not sure. I think it was New York, maybe in the finals, in the quarterfinals or semifinals, when Jordan was I guess top of the key, and he's trying to drive in, and as he drove in, John Sparks was guarding him, and what Jordan did was had a hand on Sparks' back, and he shoved him. He cleared him out of the way and then had the shot. Now, that was clearly a foul, but the refs didn't call it. You know, one of the things that, you know, having studied some of Michael Jordan's tendencies, you know, he was a very shrewd individual, not only talented, but shrewd. And that's kind of what makes a champion. It's not only your physicality, it's not only your heart, it's your mentality. And one thing that Jordan did was you'd often see him, you know, during a part of the game when it's not going on, he's kind of resting on his knees like this, and he's talking to a ref. And they would say how those conversations weren't necessarily about calls or about stuff he could do, you know, is this okay to do, or why was that call given, and all that. A lot of times they said that his conversations would be, hey, John, how you doing? I'm good, Michael. How are you? He goes, I'm doing pretty well. You know, how's your son Jordan doing? You know, your son Jordan, I remember the last time, you know, he had asked for a basketball, and did you get that basketball I sent over to him? He goes, oh yeah, he loved it. That's his favorite thing. He was like, okay, good. Well, anyway, if you need any more signed stuff, just let me know. I'll get you something. The referee goes, oh yeah, sure, thanks. Well, if you have that type of conversation with a ref, you know that there's got to be a point in time at which the ref will give you the benefit of the doubt, right? Give you a call like what happened with what happened to John Sparks, where, you know, John maybe would not have gotten that call because John may not have been as friendly to the refs or anybody, right? I understand that Jordan was a pretty friendly guy unless you were competing with him, in which case he could be pretty much a dick. But you know, at the same time, I think Allen Iverson had a run-in with him. But anyway, you know, maybe Jordan Burroughs had that type of situation with the refs where the refs are kind of starstruck, right? You know, here you are, you have the greatest wrestler, you know, for 10 years running, pound for pound, and here you are, you get to ref his match number one, and maybe Jordan Burroughs is talking to you and saying, hey, you know, I got some old shoes that your boy might like, right? And, you know, and that ref could potentially give you a call. Or maybe, you know, maybe it was the politics was that we didn't want to dethrone a 10-year world champion right now. Who knows? I don't know, because some of those calls were pretty bad against Kyle Dake. I mean, it was like a 2 against 1 kind of thing, right? Him and the ref, him against the ref and Jordan Burroughs. But I'm very happy to see that he persevered. And that's one of the things that it comes to heart, and that you need to fight through all adversity. And this guy just seems like the most affable guy. You know, doesn't get a call, you know, doesn't get mad. I mean, of course, he's disappointing when he loses, right? And he'll run off, right? But, you know, he stays and he doesn't give any kind of attitude, doesn't say anything to the ref, doesn't chew the ref out, just takes a call, and, like, yeah, you see man, but he's still trying. He's still trying, and he's fighting through. And, had he been disillusioned by the calls, he'd have quit wrestling years ago. But here he is going from college at 18 all the way to age 30 before he finally makes the Olympic team. And he already won 2 world championships on his own. He won them at a weight class above Jordan Burroughs. And, against bigger guys. So that's kind of like, wow, that's pretty cool, So now you have the battle of the 2 world champions, but being that he had to go down to 74 kilos because that's where the Olympic weight class was. It wasn't at 78 where he was competing, where he's the world champion. He had to go down to 74 to be in the Olympic team, which was his dream, I guess. But to do that and to persevere after all these years, it's an incredible testament to how important the mind is. And he's had major injuries. Both of them had. In fact, Jordan Burroughs had one where he had a hairline fracture on his ankle and got it pinned. And 27 days later, either won the world championships or won the trial for the world championships. One of the world championship team, one of those two. Pretty incredible story, both of them. But anyway, I just wanted to comment on this and say, hey, wrestling with the type of mentality and the perseverance that wrestlers have to go through, those types of wrestlers, it's the same for jiu-jitsu champions. They have to go through that as well. You think of Gordon Ryan. He leaves New York so that he just goes to Puerto Rico so he can train. And those guys, they train 7 days a week and they train hard. Now, there's nobody that seems to want to take it from Gordon Ryan right now. I think everybody's afraid of him. And the people who say they aren't, they could easily step on the mat against him and he'll go against anybody. But right now, he's the hot commodity. He's in the beginning legs of his multi-year run, which I predict it will be. I don't think he'll be beaten anytime soon. And if he does get beaten, I'm pretty sure they'll have a rematch and he'll come back and win it. I mean, the Gordon Ryan is that good. Just like Jordan Burroughs was, and even Kyle Dake. I mean, like I said, being that the setup for wrestling is different from jiu-jitsu, where the champ gets to sit out until the very end and just do his one match. You could make a contention, although you can't really prove it, that Dake on an up and up level could have beaten Jordan Burroughs years earlier than he did. But anyway, just wanted to get what you guys thought about this particular thing, and if you're impressed as much as I am with Kyle Dake's achievement. Anyway, that's all I got for you. If you stuck around this long, please go ahead and like the video. It really helps with the algorithms. And if you're not already a subscriber, then be sure to subscribe so we can get more videos to you over time. In fact, we got a lot of them. In fact, why don't you go back and binge watch all our old videos. Take care. Happy training. Bye now.